So, when The Force Awakens came out, people complained about the fact that it played things too safe towards the Star Wars franchise. In comes this movie, The Last Jedi, which takes a bunch of different risks, things that the fans supposedly asked for. And then the fans complain about the fact that The Last Jedi is a movie that takes a bunch of risks. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Hi, I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that Star Wars The Last Jedi is no perfect movie. So in The Last Jedi, the Resistance, which consists of Finn, Poe Dameron, Princess Leia, among many others, are trying to flee from the First Order and are desperately searching for places and people to hide out and seek assistance from. All the while, Rey, once again played by Daisy Ridley, seeks out Luke Skywalker because she thinks that he can help her learn the ways of the Force, so she can once again face off against Kylo Ren, played again by Adam Driver. Now, in The Force Awakens, I loved the newer characters. Finn, Rey, Poe Dameron, Kylo Ren, and it was fun to watch their distinct personalities work off of each other. And in this movie, some of their backstories are expanded upon to show us how they became the people that they are today. Daisy Ridley is once again great as Rey. She's still strong-willed and optimistic, and she's still capable of getting herself out of certain situations. But this is the first time where she has to directly go to someone to seek guidance and discover what it is that she needs to do. In this case, it's Luke. And because of her inexperience with the Force and how the Jedi mythology operates, she makes several mistakes along the way and has to learn from them. Something that people surprisingly weren't convinced that she hadn't already done. Not sure why, but whatever. And I loved the back and forth dynamic that she had with Kylo Ren. The way they confront each other over the secrets of their past was surprisingly tense because they were able to outsmart one another at different points. But what was conflicting about it was that they could still find common ground with each other because their pasts do have certain similarities and tragedies, and they do genuinely wish that they could get along with each other. Oscar Isaac gets a lot more screen time as Poe, and I was legitimately surprised by how mature his arc was. I mean, he's always entertaining whenever he's confident and quick on his feet when it comes to his missions, but some of the best moments featuring him in this movie are when he has to learn from Leia that sometimes, even when the clock is ticking, it's best to wait and come up with a plan as opposed to just jumping in on impulse and improvising as you go along. And he has to face the consequences every time he ignores this, and when he does, it makes him feel more human when he later on tries to correct his own behavior. But my favorite character in the movie, for sure, was Luke Skywalker. And I think this is my favorite performance of Mark Hamill as this character. His current personality fits that of the original trilogy. He does have a smart-ass attitude when people disagree with him, but he's still willing to hear them out. And just like in the originals, in this movie, his most emotional moments are when he's either experiencing failure, like when he couldn't defeat Vader for the first time, or witnessing the failure of others, like for example in A New Hope, where he witnessed Obi-Wan's sacrifice, and trying to learn from these failures and become a better person as a result. And when you learn certain details about what it was in the past that caused Luke and Kylo to drift apart, you can really feel for him, and you can appreciate the fact that he's trying to learn from his past failures and redeem himself by training Rey in the ways of the Force. And when Luke uses the Force in this movie, it is incredible. He does a lot of things that we haven't seen in a Star Wars movie before, and it felt a lot more fresh as a result. Rian Johnson did such a great job directing this movie. When he was developing the story, he watched old war and samurai movies like Bridge on the River Kwai and Three Outlaw Samurai for inspiration, and it definitely shows. The cinematography features a lot of gorgeous wide shots that make each set piece, the majority of them real-life locations, look gigantic in scope. And during the space battles, which are a ton of fun to watch, the characters all look like ants in comparison, and it actually raises the stakes because of how outnumbered they are compared to the First Order. And the lightsaber battles, man, these are some of the best lightsaber battles I've seen in any Star Wars movie. They're all filmed in steady wide takes, the actors are doing all of their own stunts. There's one fight in particular that I think might actually be the most violent lightsaber battle I've ever seen. And again, these fights are incredibly influenced by old samurai movies where each fight is built up by a character's appearance, or they would feature shots of some slow-motion choreography. And it's little touches like that that make each fight so awesome to watch. There's even a lot of themes that you would see in samurai movies, mainly the focus on student-teacher relationships and the trust and loyalty that comes with it. You of course have Rey wanting to learn from Luke about how to use the Force and become a Jedi, which is something that Luke is reluctant to do because of his failed student-teacher relationship with Kylo, and that's something he doesn't want to repeat. And once Rey starts training, through the Force, she begins seeing different versions of the past and what happened between Luke and Kylo, and she's not sure about whether or not she should even trust Luke or not. Which is kind of important, because trust and loyalty is the thing that matters most in a student-teacher relationship. The teacher can't teach anything if they don't think that the student can learn in the first place. And the student can't learn unless they're willing to listen first. As for problems, aside from Kylo, the majority of the other villains in the First Order feel like huge missed opportunities. Gwendoline Christie as Captain Phasma, once again, is just there to stand around in a shiny stormtrooper suit, and that's about it. She does look cool, but anyone who's tall can look cool in that suit. Domhnall Gleeson as General Hux, man, he gets way too much screen time. And I feel bad saying that because Gleeson is such a good actor, but Hux is just your typical snooty British commander who is so over the top with all of his lines. And it was just so annoying listening to him talk. And Supreme Leader Snoke, great performance by Andy Serkis as usual. And the motion capture is so much better now that he's not just a hologram anymore. But you don't learn jack shit about him. You don't even get any hints as to how he became so powerful in the dark side of the Force, or how he even became leader of the First Order, because I'm still not convinced that anyone would want him to be their leader of this big, huge intergalactic government. And this is just a minor nitpick, but some of the dialogue in this movie honestly felt like it had been written by George Lucas, because there are some conversations that spell out things that the audience can and probably already did figure out for themselves. And I didn't mind it that much in this movie because the actors, as they were saying their lines, were bringing a lot of emotion to their scenes, and they made those scenes work, but it still felt really noticeable. The Last Jedi is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. The acting, the characters, the combined writing and direction of Rian Johnson was all riveting from start to finish, and for that reason, I'm going to give Star Wars The Last Jedi a 4.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching, and what did you think of The Last Jedi? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out my other reviews at NoPerfectMovie.com, and once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.